Callers, announcers, and/or the participants on this program are not the views of the management of this radio station.
3 minutes after the hour of 10. Thank you so much for staying with us. Right now we have our talk show called Candid Discourse with Senator Deborah Tobier. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
And how are you doing this morning?
I'm great.
Okay, and Kurt will be joining her on the show this morning. Good morning, Kurt.
Morning. Peace, blessings, love, light to everybody around St. Lucia, everybody in the South. Peace and blessings to Mrs. Tobier. Welcome to Love FM.
Thank you. I appreciate the invite.
How do you feel? How do you feel this morning?
I feel good. I mean, Monday is usually a day that, any business person or any employee for that matter looks at what needs to be done for the week. So the wheels are turning in the head and you're planning for your week and you're contending with different issues that arise. So
okay.
I'm ready.
You feel bright because it's bright. It's a nice day today, actually.
It is a beautiful day, especially considering what we had on Saturday.
Yes.
In way of the rain event. Yeah.
Were you affected by the rains, Wendy?
No, we were not really affected. I was very concerned about, what has happened last year, December, and what may be now the result of additional, rainy weather where you have infrastructure work going on. So I was concerned, but I think that you had the media covering different areas that were prone to flooding. So the news came out pretty rapidly as it happened.
And thankfully, social media does what it's supposed to do.
Yes.
And help people. One thing I will say about the whole weather thing, it's amazing how quickly life can change. I don't think anybody really saw that coming on Saturday. Mm-hmm. So in that regard, people always remember life is ever changing. So tell us, Mrs. Tobier, how do you feel, not only at the top of the week, but how do you feel about your new show? Tell us something about your new show. Tell us something about what you aim to do with your show.
Well, what I'm looking forward to doing, Kurt, is really promoting a level of positive discourse. Every single day, just this morning, I gave a young woman a ride from my area. And I think that anybody who is conscious of what is going on in the economy locally and what is different about the economic environment would have concern about what's going to happen. Now, whilst I recognize that, we as a small developing nation, as a small developing community, have our issues and our concerns and, the things that get us upset, the things that challenge us, I would like to discuss not only from the perspective of acknowledging the things that can be improved on, but providing or looking for solutions to the problems that we all inevitably encounter during the course of our lives.
Do you think you said solutions. Do you think a lot of us, we focus on the solutions or we tend to go round and round and round on the problems?
Yes, I mean, that has been something that in my business career has been, a bit difficult for me because I think that we tend to really dwell on the problems. We'll harp on it, we will complain about it, we'll talk about it, but we don't look at ways and means of defining a solution or even what critical role we can play. So a lot of times we tend to be individualistic as opposed to being nationalistic. We don't look at the bigger picture or the complexity of the situation. Now, some may say, Kurt, that it's easy for you, Debbie. You are considered successful. Everything goes well in your life. And that's really not true. Yep. All of the challenges that I have faced, I always try and approach it that, okay, I hit a wall now. What is it that I can do to position myself to circumvent or to climb over or to get around that wall?
But wait, can I just cut you off 1 second?
Sure.
Is that you, Deborah, as an individual? Is that you based on your upbringing? Is that you based on your environment that you can solve problems? Or is that something you learned along the way?
When I think about it, well before I had business, I made certain choices in my life. And if I can give you a little background, Kurt, I got involved at a very young age and married at a young age. Many times when I go to these speaking engagements and I will give a little bit of my history, people are astounded. They only know the Debbie Tobier now. They don't know what the background was. So they don't know that I ran away from home at a very young age. Okay. And I married, and I did not initially have my parents' blessing. And at 17, I had my first child. At 19, I had my second child. By the age of 21, I had 3 children, okay? Lived in the U.S. for a few years and came back when I was only 23, turning 24 in 95. And that's the second time that we finally repatriated, having been born in St. Lucia. So people, they don't know the backdrop or the background, and they assume because they see the finished picture now. And, you know, we are all humans. We all have our challenges. What I think has been different about me and my approach is that from very young, Kurt, I was determined not to feel sorry for myself, not to feel sorry for myself that I was a young mother, that I could not go out like my friends went out, that I did not have my freedom. I made the choice. So I decided I'm going to take personal responsibility for the choices I made.
Power to you, first of all. I say that to anyone I think who has a story like that. Power to you, because in our society, pregnancy, teenage pregnancy, and a future are two things here. People don't see you as someone having a future. So power to you definitely as a woman.
Thank you.
Power to you being able to say that. Some people try to hide their past and not, you know, put it in the forefront. So power to you for being able to say that.
Thank you. Actually, I spoke at a women's seminar, young single mothers, some time ago, a couple of years ago at Coconut Bay. And I felt like they tuned in more and really listened to the message because of, you know, my giving them that personal history. And those individuals who had a child or 2 children, all of a sudden they're like, okay, it's not the end of the world for me. I'm not going to be that sort of, I have no future and I've already ruined my life because, you know, I became a mother at a young age. So, I mean, definitely I am not embarrassed. I'm proud of the fact that in spite of things that people generally consider would put you at a disadvantage, that I was able to achieve and, you know, get over it and actually do very well. And I'm very, very proud of my children, Kurt, in spite of those circumstances and in spite of my choices.
I think anybody with a story like yours and you can inspire them, I think anybody should be proud to come out of stuff like that, because society really does keep people down.
Oh, yes.
It really, it for some reason, it works that way. And we aid it in some situations.
Well, the stereotypes.
The
stereotypes. I mean, you can well imagine that leaving St. Lucia at that age, pregnant, it was like, oh, Debbie, she did well at school and she went and threw her life away. She had a child, you know, she went and got herself pregnant, and it was like end of story as far as everybody was concerned. Now you're also dealing with that sort of stigma, so you have to consciously determine that you're going to not allow it to derail you from whatever your initiatives are. And at that time, it was just being a mother and something of a housewife, maybe not the best housewife.
Okay, so between then and now, what has really been your personal driving force? What has taken you?
Well, Kurt, I've been giving it a lot of thought now, and I feel like I have a genuine love and concern for others, and I think that has always been what drives me. When I consider how I wanted to provide for my children, even when, you know, I had financial challenges, I think what pushed me was it's not just all about me. It's about a family. It's about other people who depend on me. Yes. And that has, in every instance in my life, to a day like today, even with what we encounter now with a new, very challenging business environment, I'm like, you know what? I could scale back. I could, you know, forget about some of my dreams and, you know, just kind of like consolidate a little bit and reduce on my operating costs and stretch my debt out, you know, which is substantial. And then, you know, maybe have a little peace of mind and less stress. And I think a lot of people may take that approach. For me, though, I feel that, you know, we've all heard this saying, to those who much is given, much is expected.
Yes.
So I really do feel that if you have the capacity, you have a responsibility to use it, not only to your own benefit, but to benefit others. And in the process, obviously, you're going to benefit. Okay? So we're looking outside of our own individualistic needs and our selfish wants, and we're saying that if I look at the people around me, if it's my parents, you know, that I'm helping, not in my case, but let's say in other individuals' cases, they may be looking at helping their parents, or they have children, or maybe a sibling or whatever. But because you are concerned about what you need to do, you end up doing it not only for them, but for yourself. And I mean, I think that when I look at a lot of the decisions I've made over the years, Kurt, many think that because maybe I have been, you know, more in the limelight in the past 3 years because of my appointment, I would say I'm truly honored that our Prime Minister felt that I could make a contribution. I'm not absolutely certain that I have met all his expectations, but I know that I have put in a genuine effort. And what I think, though, is that way prior to that, a lot of my business life, what I have done in the early stages is what makes me who I am today. So in other words, it's not because now I'm considered a public figure that I'm looking at my corporate social responsibility and the things that I should do. When I decided years ago to acquire the building, and you know, a lot of people from Vieux Fort, Kurt, would know the history. We were originally housed in the old Borai building on the Vieux Fort Labrie Highway, which was a warehouse building that was pretty dilapidated. Now, even in the first few years of operation, what drove me, I remember distinctly that you know, we had that little tiny, you know, 10 by 9 office with a little computer desk and then a little counter with the cash register. And of course, the building was, you know, low ceiling, galvanized roofing.
Do you have pictures?
Oh yes, we still have pictures. And so very, very hot. And I remember customers standing in line on the one cash counter. And I would feel bad and take a customer in if they, let's say, need a quote or something, because the little office was air conditioned. But I would poke my head out every so often and tell my employees, listen, it's not always going to be so. So remember, what really drove me was to improve on the environment, not just for myself as the executive, but for my customers and employees alike. And hence, that is the reason that I capitalized on an opportunity when the original owner passed and the building was willed to one of his sons, who subsequently sold out from under us. So there is, I mean, my daily bread is in jeopardy there, because now I have a new landlord, okay? I didn't get the opportunity at that time, but I still spoke to the new landlord. And eventually, over a relative short space of time, I think it was a year, by 2003, we'd entered into solid negotiations where we acquired what I considered primarily a land purchase, because, you know, you have a building that is not viable, the structure is not viable. So I went into full negotiations for building and land with Bank of St. Lucia, which was pretty ambitious, if I might say so myself, because you did not know that you could support the debt associated with that expansion at that time.
Can I interject?
Sure.
All of what you said there, this is Deborah Tobia, right? This is not Deborah and a whole bunch of other people working towards that goal.
No.
We stem from problem solving.
Yeah.
All what you're saying there is it's you as a female.
Exactly.
Because my thing is, I think anyone who meets you, your personality, you radiate a particular type of vibe to you, a particular type of, you're bubbly, you're bright, and I think even your business shows that. Your business has that, like I just said, vibe to it.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
And your story, from what I've heard you say, is very compelling to me in the sense of, like you said, a lot of people have the wrong image, or they, not that they have the wrong image, they don't know. And if you're saying that you've done all that stuff on your own, which has led to you being here, sitting in front of me now, you're still pushing. I think you're still, when you leave here, you're going to be doing a lot more of that stuff that you were just talking about, right?
Sure.
What has that been like for, I'm not taking you away from the point that you were making, but what has that been like for you over the years, continuously being your own guiding force, I should say, because you seem to be the one, you know, you seem to get your own inspiration from yourself. You seem to, and from things around you, and from people around you.
Right. And that is what I'm saying, is that you have to look outside of your own immediate needs and wants. And I think that by extension, you promote your own success through the gratification of others, okay? And why I'm telling you so is that I think that maybe the typical model might be, Kurt, that, hey, listen, I'm the business executive. I don't have to deal with the customers. I don't have to be involved in the mundane day-to-day operations of my establishment. Yep. What I acknowledge is the customers are the reason I am where I am. There's never going to be a time, ever. I mean, now you're talking about combined experience of nearly 20 years in this industry. There will never be a time that I will turn my nose up at my customers. And Kurt, I do not want this to be a show all about Debbie Tobier and her history. I think that I just would like to put it in the context so people understand there's a lot more complexity to what you see, the finished product as now, what really was it that motivated the individual, that drove them to pursue this, and that it's not all selfish. I think it is very detrimental that we seem to encourage this mindset that, you know what, the business owners, they out to get you and they don't treat the employee well. And instead of it, the business owner puts themselves at great risk to create opportunities, and they're the ones who have the sleepless nights at times when they cannot meet their obligations, or things are not working out the way that it should for them to be able to continue in business. Also, it applies to politicians, okay? We are prepared to say, oh, politics and all politicians are the same. But we want quality representation, but we're discouraging the very people who can make that contribution, and those who are making a contribution, by not acknowledging what it is that they're doing as human beings just like us, okay, who have the same feelings, who are not, because I voted for you, I expect a handout, or if my life is not good, then you are the one who caused it to not be good. So, I mean, I think really our attitude is really going to be what determines how we survive and we come out of this period as more resilient and better for it.
Well, I think I don't want to speak for you, but I think that's one of the aims of your show. Again, going back to problem solving, what you said about attitude, how we think and how we see things. There are stigmas, there are things, the way we think in St. Lucia. No matter who you are, no matter where you vote, no matter what you believe in, I think as a nation, we need to rethink a lot of stuff.
I would agree. I would definitely agree.
And I don't think any one person or any one body of people can do that. Like you said, it's a nationalistic, we need to think of the greater picture. You being on board with this show, other shows like it, even KJ, who's still in the studio, even KJ's show, attempts to make a difference with things in society.
That's great. It's really great, because I think that the station owner has always been adamant that he's going to use this as a medium to make a difference. So, I commend Mr. Polion, Hot Watts, as we all know him.
I'm sure he's listening.
For his initiatives, and definitely it's the right way to deal with things. When we look at small countries like ours, or maybe even small townships that, do very, very well, what is the reason, really? You have people who work as part of a collective. There's so many examples that we can draw on that are worldwide. Singapore, there's so many small nations, small populations, small towns that do very well. But again, you have a workforce that understands what their role is. And if I can just share with you, Kurt, I went on a trip, very short trip, to Dubai recently. And it was for Cityscape Awards, which is a real estate show at the World Trade Center in Dubai, where they had some 250 exhibitors, What really struck me, though, this is my feeling and what my perception was. Because of the United Arab Emirates coming together and putting a lot of capital into building something that otherwise would not have existed without the vision, right? You find that everything is over the top, okay? They're going to take a desert and transform it into a playground, okay? They're going to take a mall and have a ski resort in the mall. They're going to continue to market villas and condominiums. I'm not sure if it's maybe over-speculating and if the bubble will burst at some point. But everything that they're doing is on the basis that somebody will invest, because it's like, wow, I can go skiing all year round. I don't need for it to snow. I can go to a flower garden with 50 million flowers, different flowers, just because they can because they have the money, they have the capital. What is also, because, you know, I spoke to a lot of the people around the hotel resort, as well as, you know, the taxi drivers and stuff. You find that the locals do not work really, okay, because of course the religion and stuff like that, and then of course you have those who are dressed in their Arab, you know, dress, culture, and yes, and they are really, some people are maybe a little bit westernized, but there's still so many that adhere. So what happens, everybody comes into work. So you meet, you know, Indians from India, you meet Asians, you meet Filipinos, so many different people, Germans, Europeans. The hotel rooms are cleaned by Indian men, not women. But what is amazing, so you have two men coming into your room with their cart, and that is the, not room service, but the cleaning service, right? Housekeeping. So they knock on the door, and it's like you're opening the door. There are two men there, okay?
Is there a reason for that?
No. Why I'm bringing this up is, this is what. You will find people looking for opportunity anywhere in the world. They're coming in, and they do not look at it as something that diminishes the fact that they're masculine because they're cleaning somebody's hotel room, okay? They're pushing a cart in, and it looks like one of the guys would vacuum and stuff like that. The other guy is cleaning the bathroom and taking the towels out and stuff like that, because I actually observed this, you know? What I'm saying, Kurt, is that if we encourage people that, oh, some jobs are beneath you, like, you know, a cleaning job is beneath you, or let's say farming, we keep on talking about being more independent and reducing our import bill, even if we're not competitive when it comes to producing bananas, but we can sustain our local consumption and our needs by bringing up the standard of production, okay? So there should be a certain level of pride associated with anything that we choose to be in. If you say that, well, all I do is clean houses with pride. Do it. Learn what your trade is to the point that the person you work for can say, wow, I don't even have to think twice. This thing is done the way that, and you know, Kurt, I always emphasize that it's not that you are trying to do things because you're tourism dependent and you're improving on standards and you're improving on the customers, the quality of the customer experience on the basis of attracting people to our shores as guests in hotel. It should be that we want to give that same level of service to our local counterparts, that we think that we deserve that, and we raise the bar and we raise the standard on that basis. By extension, we're well positioned now for whatever comes our way.
I remember attending an STDC meeting a couple years back, and I said something at that meeting that why doesn't the ministry or any agency within the government take some of the money spent on sensitizing the tourists or the foreigners, or why not sensitize the people in different ways to appreciate the product, the tourism product, which is our home?
Definitely, and I think in one of my Senate debate contributions, I actually acknowledged the campaign that I'm sure everybody's familiar with that Sandals has undertaken as a private sector operator, where if you notice the billboards and the commercials, and it's from the perspective of the child of the Sandals employee, and it's from the perspective of the farmer who sells his produce, and it is Sandals' way of sensitizing the nation as to what the impact is, how many people benefit from their business here in St. Lucia. And you're very right. We can do more in that respect, because it means, again, that we're still like, we're not looking at like, oh, this person's taking from us. What is this person giving? What is this company giving? You know, it's not, oh, they're making millions of dollars. What are they providing? You know, what kind of economic activity are they directly responsible for? So you're absolutely right. But
sadly, in our culture, in our society, a lot of people tell you, like, a lot of people have that attitude, what's in it for me? Even when even when the change will help them, not too long from them initiating that change. But a lot of people will tell you, like, what's in it for me? Like, why should I do that? Why should I think that way?
Right. So didn't I say that we probably require Well, we need to develop our critical thinking skills.
How do you do that?
And well,
as a nation, if paradigm shifts take what 50 years, some people quote that 50 years paradigm shifts. St. Lucia, 50 years from now, 50 years ago, how do we change the?
It has to start from somewhere. Kurt, one of the things that I feel really concerned about is that you find the media houses many a times engage in a lot of sensational, news items and a lot of sort of what we call ro-ro. You know, it's like they're going to promote that.
That's what we love in our
Yes,
culture.
I've actually asked, a media personality, why is it that everything has to be bad news or political, something going on in the political realm, or, it's like we always have, we don't highlight the good things. We don't use that as a medium to promote,
2 minutes before.
promote a better understanding of how things work. And I think, we talk about fundamentals in life. We have an opportunity here. And it's not about indoctrination, Kurt. It's not about like feeding a line, but to promote a better understanding where people actually, they thirst for knowledge. They want to find out, okay? So we have, if you're saying it would take 50 years to have that paradigm shift, then we have to start now, by all means, from our young people. We've got to stop looking at our own personal wants and needs and look at how we can better raise our children to give them opportunities, access to opportunities.
Okay, that's so Miss Senator Deborah Tobier.
Yes.
All right, right now we're about to break for commercial. So we're going to pay some bills, and when we return, we will continue with this wonderful discussion. Very informative, I must say.
Okay. Thank you.
So we will break for we will just have a little break, and when we return, you will continue.